country has this thing that's called natural capital. A large part of it is when you came to the United States, we had this vast territory that was untapped. It really was untarnished with a huge amount of minerals. You go to Africa, you have a continent full of untapped minerals, anywhere from diamonds to coal to just about every type of aspect you could possibly imagine. You go to Japan, they have almost no minerals at all. It's a giant island in the ocean that really has nothing. They have to ship everything in. As a result, the cost of living is much higher. Fortunately, they have a brilliant population that really brings its own little special interest in there, an intellectual hotspot in the process of actually being creative and actually leading parts of the world on actual productivity. Part of it's their culture as it comes down to it. So look at natural capital. There's a lot of it. Air, land, and water are really the three basics as you go through. Between them all, here you got some windmills in the ocean off the coast of Massachusetts. And by the way, they look awful. If you happen to sit there in your $5 million house and you're out looking at the sunrise, and all of a sudden you see a windmill come up, you think, oh my gosh, there's a windmill blocking my sun in the process. Excuse me, it's probably true in the process. So look at the aspect of, yes, it really helps generate electricity, except for the fact it sure messes up your sunrise in the process you go through. So it depends on your perspective when it comes down to natural capital as you go through. Sometimes your location, sometimes the land that you have, sometimes just they happen to be in the right spot at the right time, can sit down and you can take advantage of it as an international business if you're paying attention to the cool things that are out there and the potential for making profit. Cold War Austria, look at it, it's surrounded all over the place by different countries during the Cold War. They became a perfect place to sit down for countries to sit down and meet and talk about the aspect of what about this, what about that. They leveraged that whole aspect of Austria, then all of a sudden the communist countries can meet with the capitalist countries and they could have good dialogue. And they made a fortune in the tourism business, not so much from the tourists, but from the international diplomats, and Vienna became the center of the entire world between the two different socialistic forms of governments, between the capitalist aspect of it, the socialist communists coming to meet with them, and then coming to different meetings. You can sit down, you can leverage a lot of things. Mountains, they can impede people, they can impede exchange and go through. Switzerland is a case in point. These mountains are in Switzerland. Switzerland has three different significant areas of it, and it's so significant, they have three different languages spoken in the country. German may be the primary one, but you have Italian and French in the process as well, because the mountains divide the country. So you got a country that really has three markedly different relationships, three different cultures, all in the same country as you go through, and we call it Switzerland. Those mountains can also divide countries when it comes down to it. The Swiss, being as creative as they are, they've overcome the barrier and actually are a model trade in many aspects of it. Topography, the deserts and tropical forests, they're different markets altogether. The deserts, they tend to be expanding as we go through in different parts of the world. Then you got tropical forests. You even have some rainforests in all places of Canada on top of that. Sometimes you can increase the transportation by having more water. Sometimes you can increase the aspect of deserts being a wide open, vast plain as you go through it. And sometimes you can sit down and use the tropical forest as it creates population concentrations as you go through as well. Topography can play a big thing of dividing or uniting as you go through. You see over here, the Green Wall in China, they plan to defend off encroaching Gobi Desert, and actually it's working. They're keeping the desert from advancing further in the country and stealing more arable land for goods as you go through. Topography, bodies of waters, they attract people. Usually your home values skyrocket whenever there's water around. You get to watch the ships go by and everything else, but by the way, ships do go by, and ships are a major source of commerce. You can travel a huge, massive amount of goods on a ship and relatively inexpensively compared to trucks on land as you go through. So inland waterways, they provide a huge market, and always have, not just this year, not just last year, but for thousands of years, water has been a major source from everything from pirates to merchants in the process of people being able to go to different parts of things quickly at a relatively inexpensive way as you go through. Here's the word population now. You'll see all kinds of different aspects of it. There's some big chunks of planet Earth that are unoccupied. You have even the United States. You try to go in Wyoming, Montana, the North Dakota as you go through, you'll be seeing all kinds of huge areas where there's less than one person per square mile. It's huge. Let me give you this quiz over here. In 2020, there were 7,800,000,000 people on planet Earth. If you gave each person a nine square feet to stand on, a 3 by 3 foot plot, we've heard about the giant world population boom. If you gave each person 9 square feet to stand on, would they fill all of the United States, A? B, would they fill the western half of the United States from the Mississippi to the Pacific? Would they fill just all of California? Or would they fill San Bernardino County, just a few miles over here in Orange County? It's the biggest county, but yeah, let's try that. D, what do you think? A, all the United States, B, western half of the US, all of California, or San Bernardino County? You know, we've heard stories about how the world's overpopulated. The truth is the answer is D. You wouldn't even fill all of San Bernardino County. You would fill 2/3 of San Bernardino County. Don't trust me, go check it out yourself. Multiply that number times 9 and figure out how many square miles it would take. And by the time you're done, the reality of the world population crisis, it isn't. There's parts of the earth that are overpopulated, parts of the earth that don't have proper food sources delivered to them as they go through. There's parts of earth that have difficulties, and there's parts of earth that are vast, wide open spaces with plenty of room for people, animals, and plants to sit down and thrive as they go through. It just doesn't happen to be next to the water. It doesn't maybe have a really nice climate because it's cold and you have a thing called snow, you know, the white stuff that falls from the sky. So there's issues there. Climate as you go through, you have the north-south divide. You have a big difference between the northern part of the United States versus the southern part, and we have a constant migration of people wanting to sit down and run away from the cold as you go through. I understand, good night, by the time it all happens. Real data matters. We talk about natural capital, it matters looking at real numbers, not fanciful numbers written by somebody who wants to sit down and publish a book or sell newspapers in the process. Go check out the numbers all the time. You know, climate changes have always been real. They've been real for many years, not just in the last 5 years, but for decades as we go through. And there are issues with the climate as we go through. Water in all forms draws populations, and natural capital can sit down and make a nation and business wealthy as you go through. It's all about the mantra we hear from the realtors: location, location, location. That makes all the difference in value, wealth, and maybe your business. Take care.